schools, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and say a few words about yourself, and then have both schools introduce themselves, and then we'll alternate between one and the other for questions.
Okay. So I'm Martha, and I started a company called lastminute.com. Who's heard of it? No hands up. So wow, brilliant. So you're all customers. That's good. And then I have worked in technology for the last maybe 20 years, and we started lastminute.com back in 1997. Can you imagine? When nobody really thought the internet was going anywhere. And now I do a whole bunch of different things. I chair some companies, I started another business, and now I've ended up in the House of Lords, which is part of Parliament. That's me.
Thank you, Martha. So, who shall we start with? Paul, would you like to introduce Kingsbury High School?
Yes, this is Kingsbury High School. This is Year 7 group, 11 years old. And we've got some good questions. Well, I hope you like the questions.
Well, if I don't, I'm going to get on the floor and you won't be able to see me.
Okay, fair enough. Right, I'm going to go first.
Thank you, Paul. And then, George, would you like to introduce your school as well?
Hi, we're Chisenhall Primary School, Tower Hamlets in East London. Hi.
Hiya.
So George, why don't we start with your students? The first question.
How old were you when you started your first business?
Well, because you look really friendly, I'll tell you a secret. And the very first business I started was a dating agency when I was at school. I was probably about 13. And the reason I started a dating agency was because I got all my friends to fill in a form on a piece of paper about who they fancied at school, because I wanted to know who everybody else liked. It wasn't a very good business, but it meant that I knew everything about people. Bit naughty.
There you go, kids.
Bit naughty.
Thank you, Martha. Paul, shall we have a question from you?
Okay, who's first?
Why did you start coding?
I can't hear you. Say that again.
Why did you start coding?
Why, do you know what? I only started coding after I started a tech company. So I'm not very good. I bet you're better at it than me. When we started lastminute.com, I couldn't code, and nor could Brent. But as the company got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I had to talk to more and more people who were writing code, that they make the website work, I thought, oh, I better learn how to code, because otherwise no one will be able to respect me and they won't trust my decisions. So that was when we did a little mini course. But I have to say, I did the hour of code again this week so I could try and remember some more stuff.
Thank you, Martha. Next question from Chisenhall Primary.
The TAs.
Why is it important to learn coding at school?
Well, I'd like to ask you that question, but what I think is important is that, you know, when we started lastminute.com, no one thought the internet was really going to survive. Can you imagine? No one thought that people would buy things on the web. No one really thought that everybody would have a kind of mobile phone like this in their hands. So we were trying to convince everybody that the web was going to be a big thing and that people were going to use it every day. And now, nearly 20 years later, obviously, we all do stuff all the time on the web, and I think it's really important that you can look under the bonnet and see what's going on. It's really important that you know when you're driving a car how to change a wheel, so it's quite good when you're using the web all the time to be able to understand a little bit about how it works. That's one reason. And then the second reason is because we need people who understand technology. The businesses are growing all the time. The government needs people who understand technology. So if all of you guys want to learn how to code, then you're much more likely to be able to get a job in the future, and that's really important.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question.
What do you find most fascinating about coding?
I think it's probably the way that what looks like total gobbledygook makes magic stuff happen. You know, I use a lot of different things on the web, and I still can't believe that all those symbols and all those return bits and all those different dashes and dots can make amazing things happen, whether it's finding a flight to New York and being able to get it, whether it's being able to share photos on your phone, whether it's being able to have a chat like you guys right now live on the web. It's amazing to me that all that nonsense that is really hard to understand if you don't know anything about it makes all this magic happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
What was the worst part of your career in life? How has it gone wrong, like very badly ever, or like has it not gone wrong before?
So dealing with problems.
Anybody that starts their own business has a lot of problems to deal with, and anybody that tells you that everything goes right is lying, because it doesn't happen like that. I could tell you so many stories of things that we got wrong. We hired the wrong people, we sent tickets to the wrong people, we did bits of code that would break the website, we did really bad marketing that nobody could understand, we wasted some money, we didn't spend enough money. Every single day we were making big mistakes. And then I've started some things after that. I started another business called Lucky Voice. We have karaoke rooms that people can hire. It's a real world business, it's not a tech business. And we've made loads of mistakes there too. Messing up people's bookings, getting the wrong drinks, ordering the wrong food, all kinds of things. So you make mistakes all the time, but the important thing is not to make the same mistake more than about twice, because otherwise you're being a bit stupid. But everybody makes mistakes all the time. That's one of the best things about starting your own business. You learn not to give up, but you also learn that everything is likely to go wrong all the time, and that's quite a good lesson.
All right, thank you.
Next question.
What have you done that you're most proud of?
Well, I think probably two things. One is very personal and one is about work. I think the thing that I'm most proud of in my work is that since 2009 I have been working on helping people who cannot use the web learn how to use it and get access to it and be trained on it and not be frightened of it. And I started a charity because there wasn't very much money in the whole area of digital skills. And I'm really proud that we have got 8 bosses of big companies like Eon Energy and Lloyds Bank and EE and the BBC sitting around the boardroom table worrying about helping people get online. So that's something I'm proud of. And then on a more personal level, I'm proud of the fact that I can walk, because when I left lastminute.com, I had a very bad car accident and I spent 2 years in hospital, and I really was very, 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 very nearly dead. And nobody thought I would learn to walk again, and so I am very, very pleased that I can walk, and that I can walk over to the computer to talk to you today, and that I can walk down the stairs in my house, and that I can walk to the park near my house.
Thank you.
Thank you. What's the best whole language to learn?
What's the what?
What's the best whole language to learn?
What's the best coding language, programming language to learn?
Oh my God, I would not have any idea. You are much more expert than me. I have met a lot of young people recently who've learned how to code in Python. Have you heard of Python?
Yeah.
And I know it's a good programming language because the inventor of the World Wide Web, Tim Berners-Lee, told me it was a very good language to learn. So there you go. Is anyone learning Python in your class?
Well, we have been, last year we're going to do some more after Christmas.
Brilliant. Well, perhaps you can come and teach me.
You're welcome to come and visit anytime.
Yes, that's what I need to do. I'll come to one of your lessons.
Thank you.
Next question.
What inspired you to start coding?
Like I say, the reason that I started it was because there were a lot more people in my company who knew how to do it than I did, and that was a bit scary. And if you're trying to work with somebody who knows a lot about coding and tell them what they should be doing, and you don't understand the language they're talking, then you're like this all the time, and they get really grumpy with you, and you get a bit grumpy with them. So that's why I tried to learn some code. And as I say, I wasn't very good at it. So luckily, we had lots of very clever people who could translate what I was saying to the people who were coding. But if I was starting now, I definitely want to do more coding.
So, Regina?
What can you do to make more women do coding?
This is a very good question. What do you think we should do? I think we should be making sure that really from a very young age, like all of you, girls and boys, both feel like they can do amazing things with technology, because there's no reason at all why girls can't be just as good and do as much coding as men. I made a program for the radio last year, and I went to interview a lot of amazing women who were coders in the 1950s and the 1960s. And they were so interesting and told me that at that time there were lots of women doing coding, and then it kind of stopped. So I think we've got to go back to a time when there are men and women coding. Do you all code, you young girls in the class as well as the young boys? Yes? Don't give up. We need you. Don't give up. You're all very polite.
Next question.
Do you think using computers too much is bad for you?
Yeah, that's a funny one, isn't it? I know there are lots of people that say, oh, it's terrible, children, all they're doing is playing on the internet. I think it depends what you're doing. So when I was young, I used to spend way too much time watching television, but people didn't kind of talk about it in the same alarming way as we talk about the internet. I think the internet can be an amazing thing if you're doing something fun, or if you're learning something, or if you're talking to your friends or doing whatever. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be reading, doesn't mean that you shouldn't be going outside and playing, or talking to your friends. So I think it's like anything. You should do it in moderation, but also do the most fun and exciting and things that make you build your brain up a bit. How much time do you guys spend online? Who spends more than 2 hours a day on the internet?
Hands up.
And how much of that time is playing games? What are you mainly doing when you're on the web?
I code.
You code? Well, that's very good. You never stop doing that. Anyone else?
Because you asked the question. Instagram.
Instagram? Well, that's kind of fun.
Homework. Your homework is trash.
Homework, exactly, homework.
Homework is
You would be glad if you were spending 23 out of 24 hours on the internet, but I don't think anyone is doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm on mute. Next question.
Okay, Sophie? Not Sophie, beg your pardon.
What inspired you to make last minute?
What inspired me to?
Make your business.
I hear you, I'm sorry. You're
What
cutting
inspired you to create last minute?
out. Oh, well, two things. First of all, because we really wanted to use the service, because we were quite chaotic, me and Brent, who came up with the idea for lastminute.com. And when he talked to me about it, we were like, wow, that's a really good idea, because we would use it, because we were always trying to organize everything at the last minute, whether it was going on holiday or whether it was booking a restaurant, whatever it was. So I think the first thing was that we thought we'd use the service. And then the second reason was because we've been lucky enough to work in really early web technology, and so we kind of seen what the web could do and what the internet could do, and we thought we really want to do something in this incredible and exciting new world. But mainly because we used the service. We knew we had 2 customers.
Thank you.
Next question. I think we have time for 2, maybe 3 more questions.
No. Aren't we going to chat till at least 6 o'clock?
Go on, Zara.
Was it difficult being a woman in the IT world?
Yeah, it's funny because I sort of was in the IT world, but mainly when we started our business, I was more in travel and I was in all the things that we were selling. So we were doing technology, all right, but I was trying to get airlines to give us product to sell, I was trying to get hotels to give us product to sell and all that stuff. So I felt like I was more in travel than I was in IT. And then as the company got bigger and bigger, I was kind of sort of in technology, but then you start talking to the press or you're talking to bankers and all this stuff. So I felt quite young, and I often felt quite alone in the room because quite often there wouldn't be very many other women. But I felt a bit more as though I worked in travel than I worked in technology. And now I think there's been a big shift towards why there are not so many women in technology. So I spend a lot of time talking to amazing groups of women and trying to encourage them to do technology. So actually, I spend, I think, more time now with women than with men, which is good. Oh, you've gone very quiet. Okay. Okay.
Will computer
Go ahead, sorry, go ahead.
ever replace classrooms?
Will a computer ever replace classrooms? What's your teacher called?
Mr. Allen, hi, I'm hoping not.
That's right. Mr. Allen, do you think Mr. Allen would be better as a robot?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think there will be a lot more technology in your classroom in another 20 years, 10, 20 years. But I'm not sure that I think there will be no classroom, because I don't know about you, but I don't think school is just about learning. It's about making friends. It's about getting out of your house. It's about doing kinds of things you wouldn't get the opportunity to do in a different space. So I think that it will change the classroom, but I don't think that Mr. Allen should be too worried about his job.
Can I quote you on that?
I'm very bad at predictions.
Thank you. One last question.
What are your goals?
What am I?
What are your goals in IT?
My goals in life? Or IT, what did you say?
In IT.
In IT, my main goal, I've got two. Am I allowed to? I've got two. The first one is that I really want 10 million adults in this country who cannot use the web to be able to use it, because that's a lot of people. That's 17% of adults don't use the web, and they are missing out on so much stuff. So that's my first goal, is to try and keep helping more and more people and encouraging the government to help more people and encouraging companies to help more people. And then my second goal, which probably won't surprise you, is to keep encouraging women and young girls and old people, old women, anybody who is a woman, to embrace technology, to start businesses, to learn to code, all that stuff, because the numbers are quite shocking, and we don't want technology just to be about boys and about men.
Thank you very much. Shall we all give a big round of applause for Martha?
Very nice to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.